when I was 15, obviously that's the kind of time that you're having crushes and figuring out sexuality. I was thinking I was a paedophile.
What's the one thing you want the public to know about OCD?
This is quite deep, sorry, but
No.
It's okay.
I was like, either I commit suicide or I tell my parents and I go to prison.
Hey guys, welcome back to Tea at 4. I'm Billy.
I'm Christie, and this is the podcast where we talk all things that normally stay in a group chat.
And today we're joined by a very special guest. Please give it up for Molly. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's my first ever podcast.
Really?
Yeah. So I have my own, but I haven't actually been on someone else's.
Oh, nice. So you're
really
familiar,
excited.
but it's exciting.
The microphone's familiar, but this is not familiar. But it's exciting.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. Now, you've got a very interesting story about having OCD and a particular, how do I phrase this?
It's a theme within OCD.
A theme within OCD.
Yeah.
Would you mind telling our audience a little bit about yourself and your story?
Yes, I'm Molly. I was diagnosed with OCD last August, which is quite recent, it feels like. But I kind of knew that I had it for like a good 5 years before that. So it wasn't like a complete surprise. Not 5 years, maybe like 3 years. But yeah, I've started doing like kind of advocacy for it, and I've posted the videos about it for years and years, but kind of in the past like 6 months, it's really been like kind of, people are recognizing this, it's becoming more of a conversation. And yeah, I mean, the feedback, the response has been insane, and I think it's something that needs to be spoken about. So I'm glad that I'm here talking to you guys about it. But yeah.
No, we're actually very, very excited to kind of like delve into your journey, your experience, because when you hear OCD, you just, for me personally, it's like, okay, clean freak, that's it. But there's different types.
Yeah.
Could you delve into the type?
Yeah, so I'm not clean, I'm not organised, I'm quite chaotic. So when I suffered with it for years, obviously without knowing about it. And when I came across a video, I was like, OCD, like I literally learned about this. I'm like, I did not fit into what I thought, like you say, it was. But OCD is like obsessive and intrusive, unwanted thoughts. So that there are different themes within that. So it's like kind of harm, sexual, moral, the health and contamination, what you guys all know. Basically anything that you can become anxious about is a certain theme. And then obviously certain people have different themes. So mine was probably like the paedophilic, sexual and harm themes, because obviously they scared me the most. So therefore I was attached to them the most, and I would spiral about them the most.
What was that like for you? Like, what kind of thoughts were you getting? So when I was younger, a lot of my thoughts kind of, obviously this is looking back now from therapy, obviously I always had OCD, but it's just like I didn't recognize if that's what it was. And I would always obsess over kind of like events and like kind of social stuff and go, how did I act in that? And like, and go over kind of conversations, and did I really enjoy that? And was I really happy then on my birthday? And I was just a really anxious little bean when I was younger, like, which obviously looking back is sad because obviously it was OCD, but, and also really obsessing over like kind of Madeleine McCann and how, like, if that could happen to me, and like what would happen if someone came into my house. And I had like night terrors, and like it all the signs were there from like a very young age, but obviously that was, you know, put down to child anxiety and whatever. And then when I was about 14, 15, I was in an airport going on a family holiday, and I saw a little girl, and I was like, oh, her outfit's a bit like weird for a child, like she's wearing like a crop top and a skirt. And like that was the thought, and I was like, wait, why have I thought that? That's so weird that I even recognize she's a child. Why would I even notice that? And then for the rest of the holiday, I was just like obsessing over it, and, you know, looking at kids on the beach and thinking, well, why am I near them? I was thinking about that girl's outfit, and like it just took over my entire holiday and like ruined it, which is just so much fun. And then went back to school, kind of managed to forget it, which I don't really know how I did that now, like looking back, but I did forget it. I think so. It was like GCSEs, obviously a lot of revising and stress and whatever. And then I was at my desk. It was a month from my exams beginning. And I think what I've learned from teaching people is it's normally like a kind of a stress event or like a trigger that can kind of make it blow up more. So I was sat at my desk, and I remembered the thought I was having on the holiday last summer, and I was like, oh no, like I've just remembered this again. And like from that moment, like my life was like forever different, which is just weird. And like, and it's, I think I've obviously been through other things in my life, and like stuff has been bad.
You can say shit, because life sometimes can be shit.
Yeah, it has been shit, but the thing that was the worst for me was my own mind, which when you think about it, is like, what the hell? Like, we could have just not done that. But it was just, and like from that desk day, I was just a different person. Obviously, everyone around me didn't know what was happening. They just thought I was stressed about my exams. And I was like, yeah, it's my exams. Like, I couldn't care less about my exams. Like every second of every day, I was thinking about how much of an awful person I was. And then not obviously, but with OCD, you kind of go from one spiral to another. So I was thinking about, okay, I'm a paedophile and I'm the worst person in society and I'm going to be put away and I'm going to like whatever. And then it was going to like, what if I'm a harm to like my family and my friends, or what if I fancy my family or my friends or my dog? Like, I laugh about this because I have a phobia of dogs, and I was like, my dog, what if I fancy my dog? Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, looking back, it's like, now I'm out of it. It's like so irrational, but that's the point. Like, all these themes are irrational. And like, if you can understand OCD from this perspective of like someone wiping the side 5 times because that's irrational, right? So is me thinking I was a paedophile when I was 15. Like, I obviously wasn't a paedophile. It was my brain. Like with OCD, it's a neurodivergent. So like the way you process information is different. So it gets stuck and you have like a loop and a loop and a loop, and like you just can't forget something. So I had this thought, and then I couldn't forget it, and then I was by thinking about it more, I was then like kind of expanding it, and then the spiral was going more and more and more.
Was there like the name, because the title of it is POCD, is that correct, or is that just the
so a lot of people have kind of like covered in the articles and stuff like POCD and Pedophilic Disorder, which is just not quite, it's OCD, and then the themes within that, one of the themes is paedophilic. So like my worst one was the paedophilic one. That's the one that like ruined my life.
And that's just you thinking you're a paedophile without any actual...
Well, there's like a paedophile, whether they have guilt or not, has like desire and attraction, and they want those thoughts, even if they don't like them and they know that it's bad, they still want the thoughts and they have desire. Whereas like someone with OCD is like literally the opposite. It's like these paedophiles exist, these killers exist, like I have the potential to cause harm because I'm a human being, so therefore could I do that? And that what if and that uncertainty is what people with OCD fixate on.
Got you.
So it's nothing, and that's obviously the upsetting part about like, you know, all the feedback that I've got, or backlash rather, because it's obviously, I understand, you hear the word and it's like, oh my God, like this girl's crazy, why is she talking about that? But people aren't talking about it, and like I'm lucky that I survived it, and I'm not gonna lie, I look back and I'm like, how the hell did I survive that? Like, because it feels like 1 minute I was like normal-ish, I was anxious and whatever, but I was like happy, and I obviously still have loads of like friends and stuff, but like I was, you know, I was loving life, and then the next day it was like I couldn't think about anything else. I felt so guilty for like existing and being alive, and like it ruined all of my like prom and my last day and my exact, like everything was just ruined, because I was there and I was smiling in the dress, but I wasn't there. Like I was somewhere else.
You know, you just explaining it right there. If for some strange reason it took me back to when I was in the cinema watching let me land, guys, Inception. Because you know how you're let me land. I
don't know what the film is.
So you're like, so basically saying that you're stuck, obviously it's stuck in your head, and then you're thinking about it and it's expanding more. So it's like you're reliving this realm over and over and over and over again. So you're trying to battle whether this is actually true or not. And I said, have you watched Inception?
No.
People that have will get you.
People that have, y'all will get me, because even at the end of Inception, like the little coin is still like spinning, and you don't know whether he's still in the dream or if he's living real life.
Okay.
So it's like, do you get my drift?
One of my one of the themes, and I see what loads of people deal with, is like the fear of going into psychosis and like going mad. I think because obviously a lot of the thoughts feel quite kind of, they're not reality, right? You're kind of, you're always living somewhere else, which just makes, like, I always feel quite, not now anymore, but I used to feel just like quite out of body, and just like, 'cause I was thinking about so many other things that weren't actually real all the time. So one of my themes actually was like kind of, and even is now, like, am I going mad? Do I have the capacity to then go mad? And like, because it just feel like you're basically just in war with your brain all the time. And like obviously when you get therapy and you are in recovery, which I am now, like it's like a background noise, which I'm sure we'll get into, but like it's not, it's just a little like, okay, you're weird, shut up. Like I can see it for what it is, but when you're in it, it's like literally like suffocating, like it's awful. And like why I'm talking about it is I can't even imagine the amount of people that have unfortunately committed suicide over this. Like that's kind of my overall reason that I'm doing this, is like obviously I'd never actually experienced kind of
suicidal ideation or like super depressive states before this, and it put me there. And like for people that, you know, like I said before, don't have support systems or you know, are lacking in other areas, this I'm very certain is like a main reason for suicides. The DMs that I get, and I had a message from a woman the other day saying that her son died from this like 3 years ago, and he tried to speak about it, and people were like, what the hell are you talking about? And for a man, it's like you have this other layer, and I get a lot of comments like, if this was a man, you'd be like whatever, which I do get it, but it's like, it's the same thing for a man and a woman. It's obviously men have this an extra layer to deal with because, you know, they are presumed to be those things more. But yeah.
Gosh, and what was the realization? How did you kind of get the diagnosis?
Yeah, so I obviously was 15, spent like 2 years just in like, what the hell is happening to me? But like I was like still, I think that's kind of why I deal with a lot of like dissociation now, is I was really separating myself from my brain. So I was like at prom and I was like with my friends, we were going out, but I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to deal with my brain when I get home. I'm gonna have to think about how awful I am. Like, and I hated being alone, and I wasn't eating, I lost loads of weight, and everyone was like, whoa, like body tea. But I was like, no, like this is not what we like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, and then I think maybe like 2 years after that, I went to sixth form. I was really distracted myself, like going out, like, and that's like why I think I've got a lot of anxiety now, is like I just was distracting, just like trying to just ignore my brain all the time, which obviously is not healthy. And then I was on TikTok, so this was in 2021, so it was in 2.5 years after, so I was still dealing with it just as badly, but like I was like coping more, like I was eating again, I was like a bit more calm, like I was kind of in fight or flight for like a year, I'd say, like not being able to sleep and stuff. And then someone posted a video and it was like, when someone says that OCD is cleaning, but you have thoughts of like fancying your niece, or like, as in not actually, but like the thought of what if I fancy my niece.
Right.
Yeah.
And I read it and I was like, OCD? I literally was like doing A-level psychology, writing about OCD, like, you know, getting the marks. And I had that disorder and I had no idea because of how it's like presented and talked about. And like, because I'm not clean, therefore I can't have it, you know? I get comments now from people being like, are you sure you have it? You're so messy. It's like, shut up. Like,
don't clock me like that.
Yeah, like fair, but like that's the one theme that I don't have. Like I think about germs and whatever, and like I obviously think about, like, I've got a lot of health anxiety, but you know, my room is not, it just doesn't correlate. So like I saw this video and I was like, oh my God, I read the comments and it was like, intrusive thoughts, like kind of joking about it a bit. And I was like, wait a minute, this can't be it. And obviously went down a rabbit hole, you know, learned the word intrusive thoughts for what they actually are in terms of OCD. Because you could like hear them like an intrusive thought of like pushing, or like, I don't know, pushing someone off a bridge. It's kind of like, haha, it's like, that is an intrusive thought, but obviously people have them and don't care about them, or it doesn't really bother them, or they don't stick. Whereas for me, like every thought I was having, I wasn't forgetting it.
That makes
and that's kind of the same now. Like most, like I think because in your brain, it's like I obviously don't know the science behind it entirely, but the part of your brain that kind of does the information looping is like broken, basically. So like the things that should just kind of flow through, like it gets stuck more. And then obviously when you have the anxiety part of your brain then goes, wait, why is this here? What do we do with this? And then it's just despite no evidence of anything else. And then you start checking. That's where the compulsions kind of come in, which I'm not sure if you're going to ask about, but that's basically like the C part of it, obviously. So like people, you know, might clean or they might like count things, but that's a way of kind of suppressing the intrusive thoughts they're having. For me, it was kind of all like a mental compulsion. So I was like checking my thoughts and checking how I felt when I had this thought, or like thinking, oh, what did I do, you know, 5 years ago with that child that I looked after? What was that? And I would just go over and over and over. Or I used to kind of like shake my head, which is quite jokes, but I used to like shake my head when I'd have a thought to try and get it out. And that was kind of my like thing, like, because people kind of describe it as like inside Tourette's, which I think, I don't know how I feel about that description, because I think obviously I don't want to take away from people that have Tourette's, but it is that kind of, the thoughts do just they come from nowhere. And then when they're in your brain, and also the more that you fixate on them, the more they're going to come. So then it's kind of like a catch-22, because it doesn't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like people don't understand. So like, and also I was speaking to a girl the other day and she was saying that like people find it difficult to understand something they haven't been through. Like a lot of time they're like, well, I've never thought of that, so why the hell would you think that? And I had comments being like, you were 15, why on earth did you think that? Why you couldn't have been? Well, I don't know either. Like, that's the point. Like, it wasn't a normal thing to think. It was super, and I was responding to a stress, and my brain was going, how do we fix this? And obviously I have OCD, so it just couldn't forget it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you say now that you've kind of like, you're almost overcome it in a way that you're in recovery. How does that even take place or start to?
So when I kind of eventually got comfortable talking about it more and more, I kind of like spoke about it with some friends, and they were like, oh my God, I've had a similar thing. And I was like, wait, like kind of just getting more comfortable with like the fact that maybe I do have like this disorder, and kind of like researching it more and learning about it more. I like broke down to my parents drunk, which I don't recommend. It was Christmas Eve too, like actually such a rogue time to do that. But yeah, I was like drunk, and I was like I've had these awful thoughts for like years, and like I think I know what it is, and like it was the worst time of my life, and I still had not gone over that year that I had, obviously the prom and like that part of my life.
Yeah.
And even now, like it makes me cry talking about those moments, because it's just like it was just terrifying. And so they were like, what the hell? And they were like, okay, like we'll get you therapy, like this is, and my parents are great, like they're very like, I would say woke, they're just very like aware, and they're very emotionally intelligent. So they were like, this sounds awful. They weren't like, what the hell are you talking about? A paedophile harm? Like, what?
Molly, if you were in a black household, African parents, they'll be like, come on, let's go pray.
I can imagine.
Let's pray.
I can imagine.
And you said you're drunk. So imagine me going downstairs, Mom, Dad, oh my God, I've been up.
Yeah.
Where's the Bible? Where's the holy water?
Yeah.
Let's baptize you right here.
And I was very lucky. Like I get a lot of DMs of people being like, I mean, I'm not going to give, actually I won't say that, because that kind of puts people not want to speak about it. But I think if you explain it in the right way, so I hope even your parents, if you explain it in like a way that's like, this is the disorder, this is what it is, I'm obviously a bit insane, but I'm not insane in that way. Like people can understand it. And my parents were just like, hey, let's get therapy.
Nice.
I had talking therapy in my university town in Leeds, which, I mean, it wasn't the best thing. You're meant to have ERP or CBT with OCD, which kind of is like almost like a phobia therapy. So you kind of like expose yourself to things more and more, and kind of like sit with the fact that thought's really scary, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just your brain. But I had talking therapy, so I kind of just like was starting to unpack it, and it took me like a good 2 months to say the word paedophile and like actually talk about those 6 months of my life, because I still was just like, let's talk about like how my day was. But I literally like, it was quite dramatic. I was like sobbing, and it was just all a lot. And then it kind of made it worse for like a week, and like, no, not a week, like a good few weeks. I was having like really bad dreams, and I was like in like a really like stressed state again. But obviously that was just coming, it was all the stress coming out again. And she helped me. Like it was just, I think just kind of putting it outside of myself. And I was like, oh, like this isn't me. Like this is something bigger than me. And like it happened to me. It wasn't me. Same way that like if you're depressed, like you have depression, it's happening to you. You're not the depression. Do you know what I mean? And she kind of like comforted me a lot and was like, you know, this is so common. Like this is not just you. Like it's a very big part of OCD. Like, and then she was like, I think you have OCD, like kind of confirmed. And I was like, yeah, same. But like, you know, finished university, was getting I was speaking about it a little bit, but I was kind of still finding it quite scary. And then I actually had a student podcast at my university with my friend, and she had OCD, or she had like intrusive thoughts as well. And I thought, should I just do an episode and just talk about it? And you never know what people will respond like. I did it, and like people were literally like DMing me like, oh my God, like I had the same thing. Like even people at my university, and I was like, wait, like I for some reason feel okay to talk about this now, and I'm quite like emotionally, I'm an okay sharer clearly. So like I should just do this, you know, like this is like scary, but it's, you know. And then moved back home, had some really bad times of like physical anxiety. And then I got hypnotherapy, which, what the hell?
What's that?
It's like,
when you get hypnotized?
Yeah. So they kind of like, she would be like, okay, close your eyes. Vision your safe space. Have these dark, disturbing thoughts, but you're in a safe space. So it wasn't really, she was great and she helped me in a lot of ways, but probably wasn't the best thing for OCD. I think she didn't believe I had it. She was like, you had a nervous breakdown and it induced distressing, anxiety, anxious thoughts. But I was like, I'm still having them now though. So like, what were we talking about? So yeah, she was great, but like not the best in terms of OCD. So then I kind of was like, I want to just find out like this. I want to know. Obviously, I knew that I probably did have it, and then I got privately diagnosed last July, August. And yeah, he sent like a whole like document about my whole thing, and I got like Molly Lambert has OCD, specifically paedophilic harm health themes, and I was like, oh my god, I can rest. But obviously that's not it over. Like that's just it just labels it. And I think like with anything, when you have a label, obviously you don't need to, and it's like you're valid either way. But for me, it was kind of, it helped that externalizing it, like it was no longer just here. It was like that's it's out of me, and like it's not in my, obviously it is in my control, but well, no, it's not. But it was, yeah, it just kind of distanced it from me enough that I could then properly start recovering. And I haven't actually had therapy in like 6-7 months, but I think I'm going to go back for a little bit of, you know, support.
Spice it up a little bit.
Spice it up a little bit, yeah. But like, I think just for me, speaking about it is enough to like separate it from me, and then that really helps.
It's obviously very inspiring that you can come out here and talk to us about this, but I imagine if it was a guy who's in the similar situation, it must be a lot harder for them.
Yeah, I think obviously I acknowledge that I have privilege of being a white 22-year-old basic girl, that like people are like, oh, we can hear her out because she might be normal despite this headline. But for anyone else who has other stereotypes against them, and especially a man, it's like, it's really, really difficult. And I think they, you know, they like it or not, obviously men have stereotypes about, you know, sexual violence and whatever, but I think for a man, and what people need to understand is OCD doesn't choose a gender. Like, and also I think almost, I was saying the other day to my friend, I was like, if I was a man, I'd be extra panicky, because it's like you're more statistically likely to be that. And then it's like, so it's kind of, I think every man probably has worries of like making someone uncomfortable because they know that the role that they could be in, or people think they're in. So someone with OCD, that feeling is heightened. It's like, I'm already worried about being this way towards a woman or someone else, and then they're panicking about even thinking about that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So for a man, it's just like double the stigma. But hopefully the more that I, you know, undo the stigma, is for both men and women, not just women.
The more you describe it, because I'm kind of like going into these conversations completely in the unknown, and like hearing what you have to say about how it's not the genuine thought, it's the worrying about that thought being real, and how that kind of then progresses, and how your mind then spirals. I think has completely opened up my eyes to like what, I mean, I can never really sympathize with you because I would never experience it, but I really do sympathize in a way that
thank
like,
you.
It must be awful.
Yeah. And if I was actually think of a blue balloon, you'd think of a blue balloon, right? So like, or don't think of a blue balloon, rather. And then you've thought of it, right? Because I've said don't think about it. So my mind was going, don't think about all these awful things, because like it means you're a bad person. So I'm obviously going to think about them, because then I'm like, do you know what I mean? And once you're in that zone,
that's it.
You're there.
Do you know what it's like, the, you know, the good angel, bad angels, like the cosmic bad angel.
Yeah. Because we all, like, everyone has like dark thoughts about like, oh, what if that happened, or what if, and like people have those thoughts, like that's like normal. But the difference of OCD is like, you have the thought and then you go, why the hell have I had that thought, and what does that mean about me? And that's the difference. But I think like when I was growing up, it was a lot of like my fears about like the world and danger and like the things that I could be put in, and then it flipped like, what if I'm the danger? So I was just covering every area basically. And I think we all can agree pedophiles are the worst people in society. So like my biggest fear was being that's the top thing you can be. So like, and it was almost like my thoughts about being a murderer were like kind of easy compared to the paedophile one, because I was like, that's the worst. Obviously that is also awful, and like I would never do any of that, just to confirm. But like the paedophile one was so distressing because it was just so disturbing, and I was like, why have I even had a thought that I could be that? Like, I'm 15.
The label of it is quite dangerous, I think, for yourself. Like, I think as soon as, because there's not much information out there. When people hear paedophile,
straight, they ain't thinking about anything else.
Exactly. Because it's like and I completely, but I think that's why I'm doing this, because I can explain it. And like, if one person who watches them was like, she's like they might actually be like, like if you understand anxiety and you understand OCD from what people think it is, and you understand, do you know what I mean? Like, if I was actually a paedophile, I would not be sat here.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's some people are just like, you're a little bit thick.
It's like,
but like, not it, you know. And I've had, it's been Facebook that I've really had but I've deleted it now.
I can imagine.
It's like Steve from Crew or Stoke-on-Trent. It's like, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, just read. But it's fine.
Oh no, they can't.
They can't
They
read.
can't read.
Right.
Yeah.
What is a good day with living with OCD versus a bad day like for you?
Yes. A good day is like maybe one intrusive thought. I'm like about, I don't know, falling over the road and hitting my face, or like someone coming and like stabbing me, but I'm like, oh, it's not going to happen. Move on. That's a good day. That's a good day.
Yeah, that's a good day.
Wait, no, I'm giving no hope to people.
No.
As in, like today, I had a thought about someone coming into Itsu and stabbing me, but I was like, if it does, you guys will find out, and you can call my parents. Like, it's fine. Like those kind of thoughts, I'm like, I'm okay with those now. A bad day would be like, for me now, like I've read a comment and it was like, well, are you not just a non-offending paedophile? And then I'm like, wait, have I got this all wrong? And like, I'm just talking to the public, and like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that can feel really, but I'm like way better now at being like, it's an OCD thought, shut up and move on. But I find now the thoughts that, for me, that stick more are kind of like, so there's a thing called false memories. Have you heard of this?
No.
And this is a big thing in OCD. You kind of convince yourself that like, so people message me saying like, I was on a night out last night, got really drunk, and I'm convinced that I killed someone on my way home, and I don't remember it.
Gosh.
Obviously they didn't do that.
Of course, yeah.
Loads of friends of mine have had the same experience. It's like, oh, like, you know, I was drunk, so therefore I could have done something, and I could have, or I could have raped someone. I have no memory of it, and I know how I got home, and I remember it, but what if?
What if? Yeah.
And that's like, so, you know, they exist in OCD and like in terms of like childhood and thinking, oh, did I ever do anything in my childhood that I don't remember? Or like when I was drunk in uni, like those kind of thoughts, because you can't. And that's what OCD loves, like the never ending. There's no answer, right? Because you're never going to really certainly know, because mine could be playing tricks on you or whatever. So like mine are kind of, if I go out, I kind of try and drink less now, which is so boring because I am a party girl, but I can't do it, because if I go out, I'm like, was I rude to my friend? Did I like hit her? Did I kiss her boyfriend? Like, which is just irrational. But I think everyone, when you're like hungover, right? Do you have like anxiety?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, so you're kind of thinking like, what did I do? It's kind of that on like times 1,000 when you have OCD.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I could not deal with that. My anxiety.
I can't.
I need
so like,
someone...
I don't leave the flat. I can't. Oh, wow. It's not good. So I try and drink like
twice a week.
month. Every other day.
Do you find that in regard to like, let's say, relationships, has that kind of affected your relationship with friends, like with partners? Because I can only imagine, like, you're thinking, do you think I'm crazy? Or did I say something bad? Like the other day, it's not even the truth's fault, but a guy asked me, we're just talking, and I was like, I can't wait to hear you breathe. And then for me personally,
but you said, I can't wait to hear
you breathe.
You said that.
I said that.
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
I said that, and I don't know why I said it, but then thinking of it, I was just like, wrong. Why did you say that? It was so weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Hearing you say that was weird.
Is that like a romantic partner of yours? Okay, yeah.
Say that. So, but in my head, I thought I said it in my head, but obviously I said it out loud. Yeah, and then they were like, they're like,
I don't know what that is.
I'm like, what's that all about? And I'm just like, oh, Christie, like, what's going on here?
And then were you thinking about it for a while?
Yeah, and after I was like, here's what it is, man. Yeah. Take it or leave it. If you think I'm weird,
I'd think about that forever.
Right.
Like, so, which is annoying.
That will bother me. If I could, like...
Yeah. Like it just, but then I think like that, obviously things loop in my head now, but I have a way to end the spiral. I have a way to end the loop. So like, which obviously is from therapy, which I'm sure I can get to more, but like, as in, I now know how to end it. But when you're in it and you have no way of, so then the thoughts can just last, and you'll be somewhere thinking about the thought you had 3 days ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. My next question was like, do you have these intrusive thoughts from prior pop up again?
Oh yeah, all the time. And obviously I'm talking about it more, so naturally, like I said before, the balloon thing, don't think about a balloon. So I'm talking about this pedophilic harm, sexual whatever thoughts, like online and whatever, which obviously is amazing, and I'm glad that I'm doing it. As in, not amazing, not I'm amazing, but it's great.
You are amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
But you know what I mean? Like it's great that I'm so glad that it's getting out there, but it does mean that it's in my mind more. So then it's difficult, which is why I kind of want to maybe get some more therapy to kind of support that. But about the friends and
relationships,
friendships, no. I think all my friends have literally been like, that's awful, like we're here, all my friends are amazing. But when I was 15, obviously that's the kind of time that you're having crushes and figuring out sexuality or like having first, and I was thinking I was a paedophile, so it kind of of weirdly removed all of that. So like I should have been having crushes on George and Henry, but I was like so I wasn't, I'm joking about it, but obviously it's like awful, and it kind of removed all of my nice thoughts about intimacy and sex and like romance. So I kind of just like removed it from my mind entirely. I was like, that's not for me. Like I'm not allowed to do that. And also like a lot of my issues and the issue around OCD is the amount of shame that you have, and like I didn't believe that I deserved to be alive. So then it's kind of like, how would I think that I deserve to be loved? And that's something that I'm still, which is so heavy, it's something that I'm still working through now, and I'm not working through it very well, I'm not gonna lie. Like I didn't think I'd really be here, so then it's kind of like, okay, I'm here and I'm thriving and I'm happy, but then I've got to now think about like my own romantic life and my own sexuality and like which obviously I have like been with people, but like I'm always quite like because I'm just like that's not as in like in some ways it's a self-love thing, but also I didn't have enough time to think about it properly when I was growing up, because I was just so fixated on these awful thoughts I was having. So yeah, it's just ruined. I mean, it's not ruined because it will change. I know that it will change. And
period.
And that's my next thing on my list to try and conquer, is like go properly dating and like allow myself to do that. People have said to me, like in my DMs and in real life, like people that have relationship OCD is a big one as well. So people that are like have boyfriends, have girlfriends, are like, do I really like them? Am I really aroused by them? Did I enjoy hanging out with them? It can really ruin like relationships, I'm sure, and I can't wait for that. But I'm joking. I won't preempt that.
Next season.
Next year back. So, but like also people are having sex, like the thoughts are, oh God, is this weird? Have I like forced them into doing this? Or like having a kind of a disturbing thought during sex or after. Like it's a real toughie. And I think if you have sexual intrusive thoughts, sex and romance in general is kind of a difficult thing to navigate.
When you seeked the treatment that you got and you were speaking to your therapist, what is it that you do that kind of like stops the cycle for you?
I think she didn't really teach me, she taught me a lot in terms of like, I guess, being able to speak about it, and like she taught me a lot about shame and how much like parts of my life and the ways I was thinking about things and treating things all came and all derived from the fact that I had so much shame from when I was 15 and all those years of like struggling with it. But the way that I've learned to view it now, I think, is literally just from learning about it and like knowing what it is. And everyone that ever messages me is like, how did you like, and people are so desperate and like in the saddest way. It's like, oh, like I've had this thought, and like I people are literally like in my DMs like on the brink of suicide because and I'm like, I want to reply to everyone and I try. But this is obviously a bigger scale issue. Like people they're too terrified to go get the help. When they get the help, it's not that great of the help because people aren't understanding the severity of like what OCD can be like.
I know with some mental illnesses, there's like different types of treatment they can get. Is there any medical treatment that like helps suppress things, or is it completely
obviously
therapy?
So you can get medication. I'm not on medication, which I get asked a lot, anxiety medication and whatever, but I think ERP, like I mentioned before, and CBT is the best therapy you can get. But people have said to me that they've gone to their GP before and they've been told that, it's just anxiety, or they're told like, you're a danger to other people. Like people aren't understanding it. I think it's getting way better. And obviously through this, I think it will get better in general. I think weirdly in America, it's a lot more known and kind of like understood there. 'Cause I work for a company called NOCD, and they have loads of followers and they do a lot of advocacy for it. And like, it seems to be a lot better. It's a lot better of awareness over there. I'm not sure, maybe because Americans are just like Americans and they say what they want. And also I think British people are quite like
reserved.
So I think
that's your business, got nothing to do with me. You deal with it.
So I think it's a lot harder. But I think the more that we do this, and I can do go on to do whatever, I think it will become easy for people to then go to the GP. Oh, I have what this girl has, and like this is a thing. You know, people are just like so terrified, and like it puts you in a place where it's kind of like you and your brain, and like no one can comfort you because you don't want to talk about it. So you're kind of just in this like thing by yourself, which I think is why like people come to my page. I hate saying that, like my TikTok, because you know, seeing someone else verbalize what you've experienced is like that's the relief that I got, and that's how I felt comforted, because I never felt comforted before. To answer your question, I felt like we kind of went round and round about that. Is I think I now know what an OCD thought is, and I think I saw a question about like kind of the difference between anxiety and OCD.
I was going to be my next one,
because I have both.
To say if someone is watching who doesn't have OCD, how would you describe to them the difference between anxiety? I think
because I do have anxiety as well. I think an anxious thought is like, oh, like what if this? Not what if, but like, you know, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, what if I'm sick on the tube or something? Like a bit of like an anxious thought, right? But someone with anxiety would be like, oh, that's scary, but like they'll just move on. But OCD, you'll like think about like, what if I'm sick on this person? How would I get home? It kind of expands, and it's the obsession, right? Ooh, and then the compulsion is kind of doing something or going over it or going like it's a bit more expansive than anxiety is how I kind of describe it. But how I recognize my like actual, because I always find it difficult to kind of like recognize when it's actually my real thought and when it's my OCD thought, because sometimes it's like, was I actually rude to my friend? Maybe I was, but like, is that an OCD thought? But I always feel like my OCD thoughts shout quite loudly at me. They're like, unpack this, think about this, like, go over it. Whereas like my actual thoughts, I just have a thought and I move on. Do you know what I mean? So like OCD thoughts really want you to go over it and unpack it, because it's not just a fleeting thought when you have OCD. It's like it comes back, and it comes back in different shapes and forms, and it changes and it gets more cruel, and like, well, maybe it's this too. And it's like, oh my God.
I've always said I would love to, you know, go into a prison and get arrested. So now I'm just thinking, imagine now that thought just be, I don't know why that came to my mind. I was like, I've had a thought of like, let me get arrested. But then actually the act of now doing the crime, for me, that's where it will stop. It's like, absolutely, I don't want the consequence of that.
Someone with OCD would think, why have I thought about getting arrested? Do I want to do a crime? And a lot of people with OCD think about like, a lot of people have said to me that if like a police car like goes past, is it for me? Like, is it because of my thoughts? And also there's a thing called magical thinking in OCD. It all sounds a little bit made up, but it's not. It's just obviously just the themes are like given certain names to like categorize the thoughts. But if I had a thought of like, if I don't do this, my mum will die. Like that's like a magical thought, because your thoughts are tied to things that will happen. So in a lot of kids, like, hey, I'm gonna, I don't know, fold my pillow, or not my pillow, can't fold a pillow, fold my duvet a certain amount of times and put my teddies there so my mum doesn't die. That's a really classic OCD like childhood thing to do. Obviously still the same now, but it just changes. But yeah, the prison one, I have a lot of like people that I know with OCD that kind of obsess over like going to prison and being arrested. And like obviously for me, when I was in the depths of like my paedophilic intrusive thoughts, I was like, either I commit suicide or I tell my parents and I go to prison. Like that was my options, right?
Oh,
so like for people that, and I think the biggest thing that kind of like pulls me to do this is if I knew what it was, it would have saved me so many years of trauma.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would have been just as hard in terms of dealing with the thoughts and having to like, you know, recover and process it and whatever. But the isolation that I felt is the part that I like want to get rid of other people, because it's like, I had no idea that anyone else on this planet would even ever think the same way that I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I thought I would literally be 50 with a family if I survived that long, and still thinking about these awful things that I'd thought when I was 15. And like, I literally, sorry. I got a job when I was like maybe 3 months after this whole thing began, and it was in a what's it called? A leisure centre in a cafe. So obviously a lot of kids. I literally quit after a week because I was like, I can't do this. Like I was like, obviously the kids being there, I was like, why are they around me? I've had these awful thoughts. And I was like literally 15, just about to turn 16, like meant to have the best summer ever, like year 11 summer. And I just was not there for any of it. Like I was there, but I wasn't there. This is quite deep, sorry, but and I remember leaving the shift and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to go kill myself now, because like this is not gonna, like, I can't. I was like 3 months in and I was like, every like minute that I was awake, I was thinking about like just the darkest stuff ever, and like how I wasn't meant to be alive, and everything that I was doing with my friends and family, I was feeling guilt that I was there because they shouldn't be around this evil person, and they all love me but they don't know who I really am. Like I'm happy, do you know what I mean? And yeah, and also, like I said before, it's like everyone was going like, oh, like Molly, you're quite skinny, and like I'm like, yeah, it's just my exams. And then the more that I was lying about it, and the more that I was leaving the job because I had another job, which I did have another job to be fair, but I couldn't have done that job anyway. The more I felt like I was like living a lie, and like it just, there was, for me, no other option was either to kill myself or talk about it and go to prison. Like that was the two that I was left with. And somehow, to be honest, I drank enough and distracted myself enough that I survived it. But like, if I didn't have a good support system, I didn't have my family, my friends that just distracted me enough, where would I be? I probably wouldn't be sat here. Because imagine like a man that like has maybe 2 male friends, not got close family, is obsessing over the fact that he might be a harm to others. Doesn't stand a chance, because if he doesn't know what it is, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And doesn't have people around him that are as open to listening.
Yeah.
And to, like you see, like you were saying earlier, all the people in your comment section are very close-minded, aren't willing to even listen to what you're saying. Like it must be.
But even then, like that is such a small fraction of like the people that are, like, I've got. Honestly, like 50 messages a day for the past like 2 weeks being like please, not please, but like thank you, like I didn't know this was a thing. And people like mums and dads that have lived till like 45, have a family, and like they've just realized what this is now from my article. Like that's crazy. Like, and you know, people that unfortunately have stories about people killing themselves, like that is like, I can't imagine how common, especially for men, that's so common. Like it's because especially like lad culture, like how can you turn to your friend and be like, mate, like I've had this weird thought, and like I looked at my niece wrong, and now I'm like, do you know what I mean? Like you'd be like, what the hell? But the more that we do this, and the more that I do this or other people do this, it won't, but oh, actually I've heard of that, and like that's really shit, mate. And like that can be a conversation, like it was with anxiety and depression, because 10 years ago anxiety was like, why are you shaking and scared? Like, which hopefully this will be that. But
because it's not the intrusive thought, it's the worrying about the intrusive thought, isn't it? Like there's no desire to act on it. You're not a paedophile, you're scared of being a paedophile. And I think that's what I think like most people probably don't realize until they actually listen to you. And like thank God that you have like the confidence to sit here and like speak out in these you know, in these articles. But where did that come from? Like, how did you get here?
I think I've always been quite like open with how I feel. Well, I'm good at like talking about it, but like I obviously was hiding a lot of how I was actually feeling. But I think the main thing I get asked is kind of like, how on earth are you talking about this? And how on earth are you talking to like the sun about this? Like, because, and if you told me when I was 15 that I'd be doing this, I would have literally thrown up. Probably like it would have been like, because it was the thing I could never speak about. So like, but I think if I'd known what it was at 15, like the whole thing would have been very different. Obviously it's taken me 7 years to get here, but I think it would have been half the time if I'd known what OCD was, which is why I'm doing this. I think bit by bit I just like started to learn more and listen to a podcast or watch a TikTok. Obviously the TikTok was the thing that I found first, and like seeing other people speak about it and like learning about what OCD was and like kind of the parts of the brain that it was affecting, and kind of seeing it for what it is. I was like, I can explain this. I can tell my mom and dad because I know what it is. And I know, and obviously, and the thing with OCD is you don't trust yourself. Like I don't trust myself now. Like I'll walk out on the street and I'm like, what if I, you know, keel over and my legs give way, and like everything is just, I just don't trust anything. And that's like, you don't trust yourself, so your brain is just constantly going, it's just bullying you basically. And it will try and tell you, you know, if you tell people this is going to happen, or you know, but it's not. Like people that love you and people that have emotional intelligence and can comprehend a concept will get it, or will be kind about it, and will find you people that actually can help you. And yeah, but when I first told my parents, I couldn't actually say the word paedophile or murderer or rapist to them, because also they're my parents. Like I obviously don't want to make them uncomfortable, but I just said that I was having really, really dark thoughts for years, and like it was kind of getting to the point where I just just didn't want to do this anymore. And then once I kind of got into therapy and was becoming more comfortable talking about it, I then sent them like a podcast that I listened to, and I was like, just listen to this and just like hear it from someone else's mouth, because I think I've never actually sat down and told my parents verbatim like my exact thoughts, because then I obviously, you know, I talk about it in a way, but I don't want to make them uncomfortable, but kind of sending them resources like podcasts or articles or like a research paper, they can learn about it. Then no one can ever tell you that you're crazy or wrong, because you're showing them what it is. And like, I think if you blur out something, which obviously if you did, like it's such a, you know, can't blame you for that, but I would always try and like have a bit of a plan so that you almost protect yourself, that no one's going to turn around and tell you something that's going to make this worse for you. So yeah, I'd always say podcasts, articles, TikTok, send them to your friends, say this is what I've been experiencing and it's horrible. And then you don't have to say it yourself.
I was going to say, I think for me, what I've learned, even just speaking to you, is that there's just the different types. It's not just anxiety. There's different layers to it. There's little subgenres, can I say?
Themes.
Sub-themes to it. And then for, like, especially for us in the UK, we're very much, it's that. Keep it stepping. Whereas it's like,
it looks so different.
Yes, it's that, but let's delve deep into it. We're quick to like brush things off, and it's like, they'll get over it. But no, the fact that you're speaking about it, and you're literally, I think somebody listening as well, for them is like, if there's more to this, let me actually go and find the help that I need. I think what you're doing is very, very important.
Thank you. And I think the health theme is like the tip of the iceberg. Like that is obviously, and people become agoraphobic from it. Like it's the health theme and the contamination theme is just as awful, but it's just a part of it, and there's so many other parts of it, and like that is just kind of what has been the most socially acceptable to discuss, and the rest of it is getting shunned. And then people going, and also I still get like now like people trying to figure out if their thoughts are worse than mine. So like, well, I've had this thought, so maybe I'm different to you, but that's an OCD thought in itself. Like if any thought is making you go over it and unpack it and you feel sick and you feel panicked by it, it's not a thought that you want to have. Like, and a lot of comments are kind of like, non-offending paedophiles feel guilt too, but they might feel guilt and they might know that it's wrong, but they still enjoy the thoughts and they have desire and attraction, and that's very different.
What advice do you have for anyone listening that it may relate to everything you're saying? Or
I think it's so cliche, and I know that people with OCD hate to hear me say it because it is the scariest part, but talking about it, like, it is the best medicine. It's the only medicine that actually has worked for me. Obviously I haven't taken medication, but as in the realms of different things you can do to recover. Like, all of the battle that I had was inside of myself, and like I didn't see it ever like being out of me, and like it was just me versus this thing in my brain over and over again, every hour, every minute. Like I remember when I was in it when I was 15, I would like think about something different. So like, my friend laughing at a joke, and I'd be like, ha. And then I would go, wait, how did I even get off the fact that I'm an awful person? And how did I even go, like, and then I'd have to go back and think, what thoughts did I have that led me to a good thought? Why have I, like, it was just like, it's literally like being in it's like mental torture. So like, being able to release yourself from that is by verbalizing it, and like having someone else say like, okay, this is what this is. And it's like, and it then becomes, it's like a problem shared is a problem halved, right? It's literally the same thing. Like if you verbalize it and externalize it, it no longer becomes as scary. Like, of course, the thoughts that I have, like today with the Itsu thing and the stabbing, like that obviously really scares me, and it's not fun. And like I find it difficult to kind of be in public sometimes because of these thoughts. But I know where they're coming from. Like I see them for what they are now. And like, I know who I am. Like I know why I find them so panicky, because I'm a good person, which I didn't believe for so long. But like, that is why. And like, the more that you kind of just make distance with it, the more that it will just be like, okay, you're scary, but it's nothing to do with me. You're going to come back and you're going to try and upset me, and I'll know what you are. And then you can just separate it. But the way to do that is by speaking about it. And it's terrifying. But the more that you learn, like I said before, and you know, send someone an article, or also like, I think if you have like even one close friend that you know will like understand you, like they're very unlikely to tell you that you're crazy or weird, especially now that things are in the media and people are talking about it more. Exactly. Like, that's why I'm doing this, because it will become that people have heard about it before. And like, weirdly, a lot of the comments on like Facebook, which I have deleted because it was just a rabbit hole, but like maybe like 70% of them were positive, and people being like, oh my god, my child's had this, or my niece had this, or whatever, because you know, people aren't leaving their house, people are losing their jobs, people are ending up in psych wards over this. Like, it's not, and it escalates. I think I was lucky. Like, I think my story, it obviously sounds awful, and it is awful, and like I'm obviously left with a lot of trauma that I'm trying to unwire, but like mine's quite like a clean, okay, like people, like self-harm, substance abuse, psych wards, like it takes you somewhere completely else. And if no one's getting you, or no one's understanding you, or you're not getting the right support, it will go dark very quickly. And I think because I was like, maybe because I was younger, I think I managed to kind of not bounce back, but kind of cope better, because I was just like in school, and I didn't really have, like, if this happened to me now, and like I didn't know what it was, and I was in a 9-to-5 job, like what the hell, like that's so difficult. I just think the severities of it, people aren't understanding, and I hope they will now.
What's the one thing you want the public to know about OCD?
It's the way that your brain processes things, and it's actually a neurodivergence, actually, which I didn't know until very recently. And it's not a specific thing. Like, people go, I'm so OCD, or like, that was so OCD of you. Like, it's not an adjective. And I think this is an issue we have with like autism, bipolar, like those are disorders that people are really struggling with. And I sound super woke, but it is true. And people being like, oh, you're acting really bipolar, like that's the same thing. And I hope that like one day I can try to, you know,
we've lost the severity of what they mean. People are using them so
flippantly, and like it's a joke, and it's like, okay, some things are a joke, but like people are dying and killing themselves and ending up in psych wards over these things that are used as an adjective, which is like, when you deep out, it's kind of crazy. But OCD is the way that your brain is functioning, and it's not about a particular, and people keep saying like, this girl had a pedophilic disorder. It's like, no, it was a theme within my OCD, like, and my brain will forever function this way, and it might switch between different spirals. Now I'm okay, and like I have the thoughts, like I said before, but they don't really bother me, and sometimes they do, and they get stuck more than others, but most of the time I just go, oh, that was weird, or that was gross, move on. But those can look really different, and they're not a specific thing. And I also don't want this to get labeled as like, OCD is now having thoughts of being a paedophile. Like, that's a subsection within it. Like, and a lot of people struggle with harm the most, and that's their biggest thing. And it's whatever has meant the most to you, or whatever part of your life that is stuck, but it's still the overriding brain process that people need to understand. And it's obsessions and compulsions over intrusive thoughts. It's not doing things to be clean, or to do something in a certain order. Like, it's so much more than that. So yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on and enlightening us and our audience. Before we go, is there anything that you haven't spoken about that you'd like to, or?
I don't think so. I think just kind of like, if anyone's listening, like, it does change. Like, I thought 7 years ago, I thought I'd probably sadly pass away or be somewhere really quite bad, and I'm sat here with these lovely people talking about it. So like, it does change, and you know, people aren't going to think you're mental. People are going to support you and understand you, and I'm going to carry on the conversation, and it's going to change. Yeah.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being so open and brave. Please give it up for Molly, everyone.
Yay! Thanks, guys.
And lastly, before we go, is your socials. If anyone's listening, where can they find you?
Yes, TikTok is Molly Lambert. And my podcast is Intrusive. Sorry, guys.
No, you can.
And my Instagram is Molly CB Lambert, but that's not as used. But TikTok and the podcast.
Amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Once again, for Molly, everyone.